Isaac Newton was born in 1642 in a small village in England. His mother, Hannah Newton, was a farmer. Isaac's father, also named Isaac, died before he was born. Isaac was very small when he was born. In fact, doctors didn't think he would survive. But he was a very strong boy, and he grew up to be one of the smartest people in the world. When Isaac was young, he lived with his grandmother because his mother remarried and went to live with her new husband. Isaac spent a lot of time alone. He was not very good at school, and he didn't have many friends. But he was very curious. He liked to ask questions and think about the world around him. Isaac was always thinking. He liked to build things. He made small machines and even created his own little clock. He also liked to look at the stars and the sky. Sometimes he would sit for hours, looking up at the sky, trying to understand what was happening above him. When Isaac was a little older, he went to a university in the city of Cambridge. There, he studied many subjects like mathematics, physics, and astronomy. He learned a lot from his teachers, but he also liked to study by himself. He spent a lot of time in his room, reading books and doing experiments. One of the most famous stories about Isaac Newton is about an apple. It happened in 1665 when Newton was sitting under a tree in his garden. According to the story, an apple fell from the tree and hit him on the head. This made Isaac start thinking about why the apple fell straight down to the ground. Why didn't it go to the side or float into the air? Isaac thought about the force that made the apple fall. He realized that the earth was pulling the apple towards it. This made him think that maybe there was a force that pulls everything towards the earth, not just apples. He called this force gravity. Isaac's idea about gravity was a very big discovery. He thought that the same force that makes an apple fall to the ground also makes the moon stay in the sky. The earth pulls on the moon just like it pulls on the apple. But the moon is far away, so it moves in a different way. This was a very new and exciting idea. After discovering gravity, Isaac Newton continued to think about how things move. He realized that objects follow certain rules when they move. These rules are called the laws of motion. Newton wrote these laws in a book called Philosophiae Naturalis Principia Mathematica in 1687. This book is often called the Principia for short. Newton's 3 laws of motion are: the first, an object will stay still or keep moving unless something makes it move. This means that if you throw a ball, it will keep moving until it hits something or the air stops it. The second, the more force you use, the faster something will move. For example, if you push a car, it will start to move. If you push harder, it will move faster. The third, if 2 objects push against each other, they will push back with equal strength. This means if you push on a wall, the wall pushes back on you with the same force. These laws helped people understand how things move. They explained why a car moves when you push it or why a rocket goes up into the sky. Isaac Newton was not just interested in gravity and motion. He was also interested in light. In those days, people used telescopes to look at the stars, but these telescopes had a big problem. They used lenses to see faraway objects, but the lenses made the pictures blurry. Newton wanted to fix this problem. So, he invented a new type of telescope. His telescope used mirrors instead of lenses. This made the pictures clearer and sharper. This new telescope was called the reflecting telescope. It helped scientists look at the stars better. Isaac Newton's invention was very important for astronomy. It allowed scientists to learn more about the stars and planets. Isaac Newton worked very hard in his life. He spent many hours thinking, writing, and doing experiments. Sometimes he worked so hard that he forgot to eat or sleep. But Isaac also had some problems. He was very serious and didn't like to talk to people much. Many of his friends didn't understand him. Some people even thought he was strange because he spent so much time alone. Isaac also had a problem with another scientist named Robert Hooke. Hooke was another smart man who also studied gravity and light. Hooke and Newton didn't agree on everything. They argued and wrote letters to each other, but neither of them would admit the other was right. The arguments made Isaac very upset. Later, Newton also had problems with another scientist named Gottfried Wilhelm Leibniz. Leibniz had created a new type of mathematics called calculus at the same time as Isaac. Both men wanted to be known as the person who invented calculus first. This caused a big fight, and people didn't know who had invented it first. But today, we know that both Isaac Newton and Gottfried Leibniz made important contributions to calculus. Isaac Newton spent most of his life in Cambridge, but later in life, he became very famous. In 1696, he was asked to become the director of the Royal Mint, the place where money is made in England. As director, Isaac worked very hard to make sure that the money was made correctly. He also worked to stop people from making fake money. Isaac Newton never married. He didn't have children, and he spent most of his life focusing on his work. He was very famous in his later years, and many people came to visit him and ask for his advice. Isaac Newton died on March 31, 1727, at the age of 84. He was buried in Westminster Abbey in London, a very special place where many famous people are buried. His tomb has a plaque that says, "Here lies Sir Isaac Newton, the greatest and most famous scientist in the world." Isaac Newton is considered one of the most important scientists in history. His work on gravity, motion, and light changed the way we understand the world. His ideas helped to start a new era in science. People still study his work today, and many scientists consider him a genius. Newton's laws of motion and his theory of gravity are still used in many areas of science and engineering today. Without his discoveries, we might not have airplanes, cars, or rockets. His work also helps scientists understand the movement of the planets and stars. In addition to his scientific work, Isaac Newton also studied many other things, like alchemy and the Bible. He was very curious and wanted to understand everything about the world. Even though he lived a long time ago, his ideas still help us understand the world today. Isaac Newton's life shows us the power of curiosity and hard work. He asked big questions, worked very hard to find answers, and changed the world with his ideas. Today, we still remember him as one of the greatest scientists in history.